What was the emotional impact when that happened, when that sport got taken away from you?
I thought my whole life was over.
As soon as I can have a salt and pepper beard,
I'm gonna do it.
I can fucking close everybody.
Yep.
I don't know why I thought that, right? But I was like, that's the only thing that's holding me back.
The hard questions that a lot of people aren't really willing to ask you.
Right.
Like really hard questions.
Yeah.
Really hard.
Like,
like why I felt the need to keep smoking weed.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Obremt, and you're listening to Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. We talk about real shit, what's on our minds, and don't give a fuck if it makes you feel a little uncomfortable. So sit back, strap in, and get ready for some real shit. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. I'm your host, Eric Obremt. I am thrilled to announce our new sponsor, SMA Support Services. Huge shout out to them for supporting the mission of keeping it real and cutting through the noise and the bullshit. SMA Support Services doesn't just back our show. They're about leveling up business efficiency and making sure companies have the support that they need to thrive. So thank you, SMA Support Services, for making this episode possible. Let's get into it. It's an exciting day. We've got a good episode coming up here. I've got my friend, client, what other words can I use to describe Noah? I don't know. We're going to get into that. Consultant, roofer, kind of. You've got a lot of shit going on. But today's one of those days where I wanted to bring somebody in to interview someone so that, you know, not only could I get to know him better, because I've gotten an opportunity over the last, year or so to really get to know this person, but so that you can get to know them as well and hopefully learn from some of their mistakes and some of the things that they fucked up on their journey, and seeing where they're going now and to see how that relates to you and to how it can help you down your path, and we'll go from there. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just jump into it, and I want to introduce my guest, Noah Williams. Noah, thank you for being here today, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Glad to be here, man.
Yeah.
It's good.
Flew in yesterday. So Noah flew in yesterday. Honestly, I think he just wanted to come play golf with me.
I did. You're right.
Yep. And so we got to play golf yesterday, and we're going to go play again tomorrow. Got to do a little bit of sales training today. You've been hiding up here doing a little bit of work. I've been hiding downstairs doing a little bit of work. I have people all the time call me and say like, hey man, can I come hang out and like shadow you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you're going to be sorely fucking disappointed because like, my day consists of fucking going to the gym, coming to the office, doing some shit.
Phone call.
Yep. Holler at a few people, go out in the warehouse, tell them what not to do and what to do. Go to my daughter's soccer practice, fucking eat dinner and go to bed and do it again the next day.
Right.
Like, I don't know exactly what you think you're going to absorb while you're here. Like, there's not going to be some big fucking revelation.
I'll learn how to golf.
But you got to golf, right?
Learn how to golf.
I mean, you did get to see, though, like, you got to see my team. You got to see what I've put together here as far as, like the building and the organization and like having a place, for everybody. And hopefully people come here and they see that, right? And they see, what my vision has been over the years, right? And I still haven't reached that vision and potential and everything. But, hopefully when somebody comes in here that hasn't seen that, but they hear me talk and they hear me speak, at least they can come in and hopefully this is what you saw. And we're like, well, he's not full of shit.
Exactly. Right. Just seeing the team down in Houston, how you brought them into the sales meeting was pretty cool. I was always curious how you would have been able to merge both of those meetings together.
Yeah.
Seeing how you use the VAs to kind of help take some notes throughout the entire course of the meeting. Like that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's been a lifesaver. Yeah. That's been a lifesaver having VAs. If you don't have VAs, you're retarded. Yeah.
And you have how many working with you now?
5 now.
5 VAs total.
Yeah.
And they're doing like CRM management. What else? What are their like typical?
3 of them are call center.
Okay.
So that all they do is dial and send SMS messages just all day long and set leads.
It's pretty sick.
It's been the best form of lead generation that we've done since I fucking started running the company.
Right.
Like, I mean, aside from knocking doors and, you know what I mean, like in referral business and whatever, like, It like for us, it's been way better. Like I'm not going to go sink $100,000 into fucking SEO bullshit.
How you get in the like
call me.
contacts? How do you get that list?
Buy it.
You just buy the list. You just look up the list.
No, you reach out to data people, so we'll buy the data from a couple different sources, but we'll buy the data and get name, phone number, emails if it's available, addresses obviously, and then we try to dial it down into I don't want anything with a footprint under 4,000 square feet. Right. So like I want it over a certain size. Cause like if we're buying an area and it's like, I don't, and let's say I don't know the area, right? Like we're here. I know if you give me a zip code, I'm like, no.
Yeah. Don't give me
We're
those
not
ones.
fucking calling that area. Right. But let's say I accidentally get that area, but I say it's got to be a 5,000 square foot footprint of a house. It'll eliminate every shitty little house in that area. And maybe there are a couple of big, nice houses in that area. So we do focus on that.
Nice.
Yeah. So tell everybody what you've been doing, and then I'll fucking start poking holes and try to embarrass you a little bit and have a lot of fun.
That sounds good. So I've run a roofing company for the past couple of years. Started out right out of high school, selling roofs, knocking on doors.
For who?
It was a company out in Columbus, Ohio. Okay. So just started knocking on doors, setting up sales appointments for
who taught you to knock doors?
Myself. So just kind of went out, didn't have any training on what to do. Just said, hey, I'm going to go pound the stone.
So did you show up to this company and they were just like, go figure it out?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
And so you got to knock doors.
Yeah.
But back then, how many years ago was that?
2017. So that was 7 years ago.
You must have looked 9 years old.
Dude, I looked like I was 12. Yeah. No beard. I mean, I could show you some pictures of what it looked like. Insane.
Which had to be kind of good on the doors because you're like, oh, he's selling fucking cookies.
Exactly. Right. Well, that was what my experience was when I started door knocking. Like when I was in 8th grade, I went door to door selling the $1 candy bars. And like one year I sold like $3,000 candy bars just by hauling a wagon around, knocking on every door in the neighborhood, setting up at, gas stations and grocery stores. Killed it. I won $250 cash. I thought I was like king shit of fuck mountain. Yeah. And just like, yes, let's go do it. So it wasn't, I knew like how to start the conversation. I obviously didn't know anything about roofing. And all I knew was that, hey, I'm going to set up appointments for free inspections. Started doing that the first week that I knocked on doors, set up 17 appointments, made $50 per appointment. I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, let's just go do it. Now I didn't get any bonuses for stuff turning into jobs or anything like that.
Was that a storm environment?
No, that was just going out and just knocking. So
but was it in a storm environment?
None.
Retail.
No storm. Retail. Yep. Just offering free inspections.
Wow.
So looked up like all the little small towns in my area, just started going through each of the streets. So like pulled up a little Google map, like, yep, I'm going to mark this street, this street, this street. I wasn't tracking the number of doors that I was knocking. I just had a lead sheet that I had to fill out, go give it back to my manager. Manager set it up with the sales reps or project managers as they called them, and just went out and started knocking on the doors. Did that for a couple of months and then messed my arm up. Couldn't play baseball anymore. My plan was to do that in the summer between going to high school and then going and play college. And when I messed my arm up, they said, yeah, you're not going to be able to play baseball anymore. So I decided to step in and kind of went through more of the training to be
How debilitating was that?
That sucked. Yeah, that was awful. That was absolutely terrible.
I mean, if you were good enough to go play, were you going to play D1 or like D2?
No, D3. So nothing crazy, still, but like, it was still like, hey, I want to go play baseball. Like, this is what I want to do. Play. Exactly.
I mean, and you would have been fucking, I mean, you're fucking tiny now, but like.
Dude, I was throwing my body weight pretty much. So like I could, when I was playing shortstop, my velo across the infield was about 90 miles an hour. I barely weighed 100. So I was just heaving my entire body into the throw.
Holy shit.
It was awesome. Yeah. I wish I could throw like that still, but yeah, can't do that anymore.
Yeah. What was the emotional impact when that happened? When that sport got taken away from you?
I thought my whole life was over.
Yeah.
Like I knew I wasn't going pro, obviously. Like I knew I wasn't big enough.
But playing college is like going pro.
Exactly. You know what I mean? In your mind, you're like, I'm doing this. I'm making this happen. Yeah. So when you take that hit, you like have this plan of what you're going to do and where your life is going to go. And then just everything completely changes.
Well, your identity's gone.
Exactly. Your whole identity. So like when it happened, I got a tattoo A couple weeks later, I've got a cross, and then inside of the cross is a baseball. And then in each of the four corners of that cross, that tattoo, I've got my siblings' initials. And it was, God first, family second, and love of the game third. So I'll always remember the feeling of playing baseball, having those, awesome plays, having those, the team bonding moments. It's stuff that just never really goes away. Like every time I see the kids playing T-ball, I'm just like, yes, like go get it, go get it. You can always tell like who wants it more.
Yeah.
Like that kid's going to go do something because he wants it. He wants to go make it happen.
Which completely then translates into business.
It does 100%. Yep. That dog mentality where you're just like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to go make things happen. So,
I mean, I think it translates in a couple different ways too, though. Like, I mean, you can go sit in a room and see who's asking the right questions.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And that's the same guy that's on the field.
Yep.
That's
hustling
their ass off. And you're like, that kid's going to make it.
Yep.
And when you go into a sales meeting room, right? Yep. I'm sure this morning you sat in that sales meeting room and you knew who it is. Exactly who to call on every fucking time you had a question.
Yep.
Right?
Every time.
Now, I might have said something and been like, hey, top fucking producer guy, right? Like maybe I blew the kitchen sink on that.
You can tell who wants it more. There's just a look in their eyes.
Yes.
They look in their eyes, the energy they carry.
Yep.
I can think through one of my best friends growing up. Like we had summer after summer after summer where we went to the baseball diamond every single day, just fielded ground balls, put the work in every day. Sometimes we would go multiple times a day. And like, just,
everybody wants to know how the fuck they can get the outcome without putting in the work.
But they don't want to do that. Yeah. They want the easy outcome without the work. The work is what you have to put in to be able to get to where you want to get to. There's no shortcuts. You cannot take shortcuts.
No. I mean, you can. But you're not going to get the result.
And when you get the result, you're not going to know what to do with it because then you're at a different level where you're like, oh shit, now I've got to perform and I got to do this. When if you're used to just hustling, that's just who you are. That's your in your DNA. You're never going to be able to fail.
Yep.
And you're just going to rise to that next level of success.
So did you kind of take that sports mentality then to the doors and to what you were doing?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, I have sometimes where I'd show up in an appointment. They were like, "Is your dad here?" Like they'd look behind me, like, "Is it just you?" I'm like, "It's just me. Let's go."
If you shave that beard off, they might still ask.
They definitely do. Yeah. There's sometimes I'll do that just to see how people would actually react. Yes. I think like I grew the beard a couple years.
You're very lucky you can grow the beard.
Well, right.
Because a lot of people can't grow like an actual beard. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And like I think you're lucky because you have that just, like younger look, you know what I mean? Like the fact that you're able to do that.
It's almost like I grew it a couple years ago because I was tired of looking like a kid.
Yep.
And I had a boss that told me if you're going to take advice from somebody, you're going to get sold something. You're going to take it from somebody that looks pretty. You're going to take it from somebody that just knows how to talk good. And he kept telling me like, you need to shave your beard. You need to shave your beard. Like that look, it just suits who you are. And so like,
you were saying you need to shave your beard?
Exactly. He was telling me I needed to shave the beard just because it made me look sharper. I wasn't trying to look older, which really was me trying to mask my insecurity of just being younger and looking younger in an industry of guys where everybody has the beards.
Yeah. So what did you decide?
I decided that I wasn't going to shave it. So I just kept growing the beard out, kept doing it. And again, it really was at first just for people respecting me. It makes me look older.
I remember when I was young, I remember looking at, I don't know if it was my grandpa or my uncle or somebody. Right. I was maybe 20, right? 20, 22, something like that. And I remember looking at him and thinking, as soon as I can have a salt and pepper beard,
I'm going to do it.
I can fucking close everybody.
Yep.
I don't know why I thought that, right? But I was like, that's the only thing that's holding me back.
Yep.
And if I had a salt and pepper, you know what I mean? And like now that I do and it's fucking everywhere, I'm like, I really don't want this salt, you know what I mean? Like, because now I want to be young again, right? And I'm not. But I have to say, I wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
I wasn't wrong, right? People do listen to me more, and it's not because of the fucking beard, obviously, but it's because they look at you and they go, you probably have experience.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You obviously probably know what you're talking about, right? My GM here, who knows almost as much as I do about stuff, I still will have to jump on a call with him every once in a while to reassure somebody that what he's saying
is legit
and accurate. And as soon as I do it, we hang up and he looks at me and goes, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I told him the same goddamn thing 9 times and you just said it. And he went, oh, okay, Eric, no problem.
In sales though, it does kind of help to have that younger appearance because they don't think that you're going to come out and try to sell them something. Like you're just this young kid.
Right. No, you're right.
Their guard gets way down.
Yep. You're right.
People trust you a lot more. And when you don't act like the know-it-all
until
either.
It maybe comes to the point of writing a check.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a certain point then when it kind of
dwindles,
it kind of transfers a little bit. Like, I don't know, which is why you need a team.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's why you need a team and you need to come up and you need to grow, right? You need to start knocking doors and hustling your dick off.
Exactly.
Right? So you can get to a point where you can have the experience to be able to be on the back end of the closing and the everything else, right?
Yes.
And people don't appreciate that or understand that journey that they have to go through right now. And you've been through a crazy journey, the last year or two with your roofing company and your consulting and, and your sales training and and figuring out where you're going to go and what you're going to do. I mean, for people watching, how long have we been working together? 6 months, 8 months, something like that. We've been working together inside of Cult Culture Movement, inside of CCM, and then also doing just one-on-one kind of just consulting, coaching together. And people forget how important that is, right? Like people look at me and think that I might have all the answers, right? Because I've been around, I've done a lot of shit and I know a lot of things, but I have a coach, right? My coach has a coach, right? Like everybody needs to have somebody that, and I've talked about this on here before, but it's one thing to have a mentor and that's cool, right? But there's another thing to have somebody that you pay to have their undivided attention to have a conversation with to help you solve problems.
And ask the hard questions that a lot of people aren't really willing to ask you.
Right.
Like really hard questions.
Yeah.
Really hard.
Like
why I felt the need to keep smoking weed. Like that's one thing you've helped that was just crazy. Like figuring out exactly why that was.
And that was a challenge.
Oh, a massive challenge.
Huge. Like you fought me.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And there was times where I would even I would be thinking in my mind, I want to go do this. I want to go do this. And I mean, it wasn't just you, it's a group effort.
Yeah.
Jack Ryan.
For sure.
I mean, all of the support that I've had, that's the only reason that I was able to completely quit.
Yep.
Asking things like what I really want to do, digging in with a business, thinking, hey, am I going to keep the business? Am I going to shut the business down? Knowing what I really want to do with my life and what I want this to look like going forward. You ask a lot of really tough questions.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's what mentors and coaches are supposed to do. Yeah. Right. But I think that the thing that people forget about is why it's so important to have somebody that, again, I've got, for instance, my coach, right? I pay my coach to meet with me once or twice a month to have these conversations and to dig into shit and whatever. But he's also there as a friend as well if I need to send him a message.
Exactly.
Right? It's not just a transactional relationship. It might start out that way and you have to respect those boundaries, of it, right? Because you are paying for time and we all are doing other things with our time as well.
Right.
And you have to respect those boundaries. But if you do it the right way, you build it to where, yes, you're trading money for time, right? Yeah. But you're also building a relationship and a friendship so that you're man, I really would like an answer to this question, but I really don't want to wait a week or 2 weeks until I have another call with so-and-so. Right. Once you build that trust and that rapport and you then you feel comfortable and you're actually, and now you've got the coach and the mentor in one. And I think that's what's really important. That's what I have now, with mine. My hope is that everything that my coach does for me, I'm doing for people that I'm trying to help. Right. Cause I don't do it for the money, right? I've got a fucking business here that I need to be focusing my time on as much as humanly possible. I do it because it's so fulfilling, right? And the goal is that, I mean, you're doing the same thing, right?
Exactly.
And hopefully I'm helping you to be able to do that same thing and help these other people that are coming up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, I know we won't, but like, I hope we work together for the next 20 years.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. But whatever it is, I hope that, you know, you take whatever it is that we learn together. And then all of a sudden you've got these other 20 people that come up underneath you that get those same lessons, right? Because you're going to run into somebody that can't stop fucking smoking weed and they're fucking half retarded, you know, because of it. And they can't make decisions because their brain's fucking in a fog all the goddamn time. And you're like, man, let me tell you about my experience.
Yep. I mean, the main reason I realized I had to stop was because I had a guy that used to work with me that would smoke all day long, every single day. And as a leader, like, you want to be able to have an impact. You want to be able to show them the right way. And I knew that if I couldn't stop, then I couldn't possibly show him the way to go do that.
Right.
And it was something that had almost became like drinking water to me. Like, I had gotten so used to just waking up and smoking. I mean, as easy as going and taking a drink of water, switching a light switch on. Like, if I didn't have that, it was,
dude, when I drank and used, I didn't drink water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. Like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, you're just, it becomes such a cycle of normalcy.
Yep. And then when you stop, it completely, like, the first month, dude, I feel like I was going psycho.
Yeah.
I
remember.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people try to stop and they go through that phase where they think, like, I can't think, I can't process, I can't do this. So then they go back and they try to go smoke again because it helps them, you know, calms their anxiety, calms their nerves. And what I realized is that it made it worse.
Yes.
Like, it made it so much worse. Every time I would go, it set me, 10 steps backwards. And I would sit down and try to do some paperwork or get something done. And I think, man, I got to just smoke just to calm my nerves, just to calm my brain. And I wouldn't want to be able to do anything, get anything done.
And then there were times that you would do that.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't hear from you for about a week.
Yep.
Because you didn't want to tell me.
Exactly.
And then you finally would get the balls to tell me so that we could walk through it and talk through it.
Yep.
And that was such an epiphany of change for you, because that was when I knew that you finally were starting to trust me.
Exactly.
And trust, like, that my intentions were true. Yep. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, like, the first time I saw you was on stage 2022 for RoofCon, where you talked about building a culture. So, like, the first time I ever saw you was there. So I've always had this, like, image and depiction of you in my head. So, like, when you approached me after that, that meeting there in Utah and said, like, hey, I want to work with you, that, like, definitely took me off. And I'm like, trying to take a step back and open up. So the more that I felt like I could communicate with you, it wasn't like I didn't ever feel like you were judging me, but you're also like, well, why did you do it? Do you really want to stop, or do you just, go do whatever you want to do, man? Like, it's up to you, but you've got to make that decision and that choice. And when I felt like I had other people holding me accountable, it was more like letting them down, because I felt like I was wasting your time. I was wasting Jack's time. I was wasting the people that were pouring into me. And
sometimes that's all you need to get through the hard part.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just need that.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter why. It matters why now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that you continue down that path, but it doesn't matter how you got there. Hey, everybody, we're going to take a quick little break here. I want to stop and thank our new sponsor. If you're serious about getting your time back and scaling your business, then SMA Support Services is your secret weapon. I use SMA for all of our support and admin tasks. Everything from back office management, day-to-day admin, even a call center. Their team frees up my staff to stay focused on high-level, revenue-generating activities. And that, let me tell you, is a fucking game changer. SMA isn't just support. They're a partner that keeps our operations running smooth and efficiently. So if you want to focus on growing your business and leave the support work to the pros, hit up SMA Support Services.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that'll go to rehab, and the people that show up there on purpose because they want to be there start to judge the people that maybe got there because of a court order or they're going to go to jail or, you know, something else. Right.
Yeah, I think they're better than everybody.
Yeah. And the thing that I like, that I remind people of is like, it doesn't fucking matter how you got there. It matters what you do with the information now that you've received it.
Yep.
Right? Does not matter if you got there on a court card. It does not matter if you got there because your wife said she was going to leave you if you didn't. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, none of that stuff matters. What matters is you now have the information. So now what are you going to do?
Sometimes hitting that wall is like what makes you realize, like, okay, I have to change. Like, I felt like I was over-analyzing situations with my team. I felt like I couldn't focus and get the work done that I needed done. And I just hit that wall where I realized, like, I have to stop. Like, I cannot keep doing this.
Tell everybody about the process that you've went through recently of, you had this roofing company.
Yep.
For all intents and purposes, you're successful at it, right? You know what you're doing.
Yep.
You know how to train sales guys. You know how to run a business. But you made a decision recently that you wanted to close that down. You wanted to sell it and you wanted to focus on your passion.
Exactly.
Right? Tell people about that process and mindset shift.
So I realized, like, I really wanted to take the way that I've set up my business with all of the processes and help other people set that up. It was tough at first, like talking with you about it, right? Like, do I shut the business down? Do I try to sell it? Do I, focus on this full time? Like, because
it's a double-edged sword, because
it is.
It's a double-edged sword because on one hand, you want to do the thing that you love,
exactly,
which is coach and help and teach and implement and do those things. But at the same time, you get to look back like, well, if you're so fucking good at it,
just run
your fucking business better.
Yes.
That's a tough conversation.
And the main reason there is because I can't be there for the team. Like we talked about this morning, like being present for your team.
Yep.
I was absolutely not present for my team. Like this past year, I've been focusing on building this, putting the pieces in place for Home Doctor, for All Side Consulting Group, and just the less I was focused on that and developing the people inside of my team, the more that they could feel it, the more they could feel like, hey, we're just working for you. We're just, it
wasn't fulfilling you like the other was.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And then, when I would go and jump into that and be there with the team, man, that would like really fulfill me, get me going. But then that other side would suffer, that other side would grow. And I just realized that I can have more of an impact on more people if I focus on spreading out the training, spreading out the coaching, instead of just doing that inside of one individual company.
And so tell everybody what you're doing specifically now.
Yeah. So we have Home Doctor Sales System, where we're going in, working with companies that have either a small sales team or a larger team sales set up to be able to input a trackable sales process where that manager can look at the system and know exactly where that sale broke apart. So, sales is kind of like going to a doctor, right? You go through it, you go to a doctor, the doctor says, hey, you've got this problem, you've got these issues. And then he educates you, he tells you exactly what you have going on. And by the time you leave, you realize like, oh shoot, you're just giving me all these tons of medicine to take. You're giving me this diet, and I don't know why I'm listening, but like I know I got to do this in order to get to what I need to. And sales in the home improvement industry is very similar. You have to follow a set process. You can't just go rush in on something and tell somebody, this is your issue, this is your problem. You've got to like tactfully be able to pull out some of their pain points, be able to get to the root of their issue, and then be able to deliver on the best remedy for their problem. So we also have All Side Consulting Group, and then underneath that, the Roofer Advancement Community, where I've made close to 1,000 videos of every single process in my business. So taking the marketing side of things, how to do Facebook ads, how to answer phone calls, taking basically every single process in the business, putting it into a platform called Whale that has an AI reading all of those processes. So we're actually taking that playbook and opening that up for everyone to be able to take and use inside of their business. So people that are struggling with where to start in their processes, they can take those templates that we've already built out that are successful, and they can actually put them into their business, tweak them, change them. And then now they've got the full, university for their entire team to know exactly what they need to do in the process.
And you're doing some like kind of fractional sales manager type roles that we kind of built out.
Yep.
Tell everybody about that, because I think that's pretty cool.
The fractional sales manager role is really starts off with a 2-day kickstart where we go out, we'll introduce the team to the overall system, walk them through the steps, really what goes into it. We'll build out their presentation. We'll make some test case videos for them. And then each month we'll go out one time a month to train their team. We'll do some ride-alongs with them. And then we'll also run their weekly sales meeting. So going through their KPIs, going through their numbers, helping them see exactly where some of their appointments broke apart, and giving them the feedback on getting better. Inside that meeting, we're going through role play. So this morning we had a call with one of our clients up in Huron, Ohio. So where we just talk back through how the previous week's appointments went, how they can see what they did wrong. And the more you do it, the more the guys will realize like, oh, well, this is where this sale broke apart. And then they start to naturally think through the steps of that process. So for companies that can't necessarily afford a full-time sales manager, that is a killer service that we offer of being able to really hold their sales team accountable, give them the training on that system, and keeping them held accountable to their KPIs and things they need to be doing.
Yeah. That's something that people watching and listening, if you're in my industry, if you're in this industry specifically, and I know that this is kind of a industry specific conversation that we're having here. But I think this is a really important tool to have in your toolbox, right?
Exactly.
Because I know that like I've tried to train sales managers. I've had a nightmare dealing with it because they'll end up wanting to go sell more and then they don't focus on the team and like all these things drop off and there's nobody tracking and there's nobody doing anything. And they're like, oh, well, I was selling this deal. And then as an owner, it's like, well, fuck, I can't get pissed. He went and closed 9 deals last week. Like, how do I get mad about that?
Go sell, right?
Right.
And when you have an in-house sales manager, like that guy usually becomes buddy with the sales reps, and they don't want to have the difficult conversations. They don't want to call them out when they didn't do the things that they know they should have been doing. For me, I don't really give a shit. It's just like,
how do you balance though, getting them to respect you and like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's asking the right questions and then listening to their responses. So the first couple of days, we're getting to know how their typical process is, and really throughout the onboarding, like we're getting a good idea on how they run their appointments, how they're set up, what their process looks like. So we already have a good idea going into a company what to expect. Do the guys just email the quotes? Are they covering deductibles to get the sales? And then as you go through it, you just ask the right questions. Let them come to the conclusions on themselves, and they'll realize like, oh wow, this really does work. This really is just a system. And the hardest people to train, I'd say, are the people that have had experience selling roofing before. Just paying for the deductibles, just shooting the bullshitting basically to get the sale. But you can take guys that have zero sales experience and just say, hey,
you can mold them
into exactly what it is. So step by step, this is what you need to do to have success. And when you teach them to think in systems and processes instead of being able to be the roofing guru that knows everything about roofing, they just know that this step leads to this step, leads to this step, leads to this step, and then now I'm walking out of here with a contract.
Right.
And some of my most successful sales reps, man, like they do not look like they should be in sales whatsoever. And it's getting them to a point where they just know how to follow that system, follow that process. And, there's a couple levels to it, right? There's the guys that know the system, and then there's guys that can apply the system. And then the guys that it's like the back of their hand, like they can think all the way through it. They don't have to remember the scripts. They don't have to think through anything. They just know exactly what they got to do every step of the way.
And that's just repetition.
Exactly.
That's repetition and practicing. And I think that's the hard part as owners and even sales managers, is that we come in and we teach something once and we're like, got it?
Good. Yep. Done.
Right.
Figure
and it's
it
like,
out.
And you're not done.
Nope.
Right. You're not done.
It's consistent. I mean, it's every single time. Hey, what are your discovery questions? What's the question for commitment? Like getting that repetitiveness to where they don't even need to think about it. They can just hop right into it. That's what it's about. And I think a lot of sales managers don't like that repetitiveness. They get, especially like owners, like when you're running a business and you're trying to train, like the repetitiveness can drive you crazy because you feel like you're just having the same exact conversations with people.
Yeah.
And you're almost like, well, I'm wasting my time. Like I have other things that I need to be doing.
Yes.
So when you have somebody else that can basically crack the whip a little bit and go through that and just go through it, you know, it definitely helps take a load off of those business owners.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the other cool thing that you're doing is like you build out people's job nimbus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's really cool. Like
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got,
I think it was cooler if you could build out all of the CRMs.
Right. Right. I think we could definitely get it to that point eventually. I think Job Nimbus has a bunch of capabilities. Like I think AccuLinks is cool, but you know, just some of the ways that it breaks down visually for the teams to be able to see just doesn't really happen in AccuLinks or some of these other ones as much. But,
so what's the next 3 years look like for Noah?
Well, the next 3 years, we're going to have, you know, goal is to get Home Doctor app launched, get that to where we have 200 users in that app and that software. We want to be able to onboard close to 200 new clients with the Job Nimbus build out next year and get to a point where we can start scaling out each of those. So, you know, building the pieces, putting the process in place for roofing is one thing. Now I've got to start thinking through exactly how to do that for the Job Nimbus build out, for our Home Doctor sales system. So it's just getting those processes into place. So I want to have 5 consultants underneath Home Doctor that are going out and being the fractional sales manager for companies all over the nation.
So if this is something that you need, you need to look up Noah. I haven't decided if I'm going to try and get this popped out before RoofCon or not. I'll maybe try so you can do a push and get people to go to your booth. Yeah. I just don't know if I can get it out quite that fast or not. Got it. So sorry. So Lexi, edit this if we didn't get it out before RoofCon. But how do people get a hold of you?
Look up homedoctorsalessystem.com. That'll take you over to our website. You can do some research on it. There's a form you can fill out. You can look up the Home Doctor Sales System on Facebook. You can also look me up personally on Facebook, Noah Williams. You know, if you follow a bunch of people, you know, if they follow you, they should be able to find me pretty easily. Yeah, so,
for sure. Yeah. So when we wrap these up, I'm sure you've watched a couple of these. I always give the floor back to the guests to give them an opportunity if there's something that you're like, hey, I knew we were going to do this podcast, but we didn't get to it, right? Like we ran out of time and Eric forgot to ask me this question. Yeah. So I always want to give the guests an opportunity to bring something up, and whether it's whatever it is, anything, you know me as well as anybody, like anything's on the table. But what do you want to either leave people with or bring back to have a conversation with me that everybody can, you know, be a part of? Well,
I think the one thing I wanted to highlight was some of the things that you said on our last call, like some of the ways that you said you've seen me grow over working with you, just standing up for myself, realizing like I've got, you know, there's a lot of voices that run through, a lot of doubts, you know, people from my past, people from the things in the future. Like I'm always overanalyzing and overthinking things. And I just think like getting out of your own way sometimes, just believing in yourself, believing that you can go accomplish what you want to accomplish. Yeah. And, you know, going and doing that for sure. So I just
being okay with like who the fuck you are.
Exactly. And not caring,
not worrying about
other people,
what other people are saying,
what they think.
or it's one thing, like we all need to accept feedback, right? Like we all need to accept feedback, and we need to hear what people are saying, because sometimes somebody might say something that you're blind to and you're not going to see, right?
Yes. But then there's other things people will say to you that try to intentionally drag you down.
Yes.
And that's what.
And why, I don't know.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think when you hear those people that, when you hear some of that feedback, some of that chatter, it can make you doubt a lot of yourself. It can make you doubt, like, you know, am I really doing this? Am I really good enough? Am I able to go and
a lot of times it's fucking family members.
Yep.
Right? Like it can be family members or like really close friends, and they're like, what are you doing?
What do you mean?
And it's like, dude, how about you just fucking support me? Like everything doesn't have to be a fucking problem.
Exactly.
Every time I say I'm doing this, and as entrepreneurs and business owners, like we're always going to try shit that doesn't work.
Just to fail.
Like it's just going to fucking happen. But like everybody else watching from the outside in is like, well, that didn't work. Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
I know, but the next thing might.
you almost stop telling people.
You do.
You just like, hey, I don't want to give you any ideas and like tell you what I'm trying to do because you think that I'm going to go crazy. I'm just going to do it. And then you can come and ask me about it later.
Yes.
Like, I don't need to tell you what I'm doing.
I've 100% started doing that. Like like I've got an inner circle of people that I'll bring it up with, right? Or like I'll bring stuff up in CCM calls and, you know, things like that. Cause I trust everybody in those rooms. Right. But I will absolutely do the same thing. Like I keep it to myself and I'll be like, I'll work in quiet. And then when it fucking hits, I'll show you.
I think that you start to like distance yourself from those type of people, right?
You do naturally.
Like I had,
you should,
right? Yes. You have a lot of like growing up, like I had a lot of people that were really, really close. And then you look at how things start to grow and expand apart. There's some things that you just can't really go and share with other people. You've got to be able to have people like yourself, like, you know, people that are in the same shoes that understand what you're going through to be able to shout back and forth. And if you're, you know, going through and you're owning a business on your own, like for one, you need to join Cult Culture Movement because there's a lot of things that can go into it that I think your mindset development can help with, but you have to find other people that are going through what you're going through, thinking through it the way that you're thinking through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely stuff that needs to happen.
Love that. So. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our community. You know, I've been trying to get outside of myself and being part of some different events, different communities to kind of open up my eyes to things that maybe I hadn't seen in the past. And I hope that you guys and gals listening, you know, are trying to do the same thing. You know, if you're looking for somewhere to land, to grow a little bit and meet other entrepreneurs and just amazing people to grow together, you know, reach out, ask Noah, ask anybody in the group. We'd love to interview you. We don't let everybody in. You got to fit, you know, the group in Cult Culture Movement.
Big time.
You got to fit the group and be able to give back as well as receive, which is a really big part of what we do.
Yep.
But please, like, even if it's not us and it's not there's a ton of groups out there. Some of them are amazing and some of them are bullshit, but do your research, talk to people, but don't think that you're going to do everything on your own.
Yep.
Right.
Definitely.
I mean, I know a ton of shit, but I know that I cannot do all of this on my own. And I got to have people, I got to get feedback. I got to have somebody to lean on. I got to have somebody to talk to when I'm sitting in a bad spot. I have to have somebody else to work through those problems with. And so don't do this shit alone. If you're interested, you know, reach out. Cause you know, we don't have any sponsors. You know, we're still trying to get, Zen for all your nicotine needs. Cinnamon is my favorite. We're trying to do spots to try and get Zen to sponsor us. But like we don't have any sponsors. I pay for all this shit. So if anything here interested you, if you got any value from this, please reach out to me, reach out to Noah, you know, support the people that are here. And if you need something, you know, you can reach out to me anytime. Y'all know how to get a hold of me. You know, you can drop your troll comments in the comment section too, to tell me to curse less, so that I can tell you to go fuck yourself. So anyway, Noah, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you for listening. And remember, everybody, at the end of the day, you just have to be authentic or get the fuck out.
Can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Get the fuck out if you can't be authentic. Yeah.